it is time to review Let's Go Pikachu. So obviously I'm not some big game reviewing YouTuber, you know? I'm not going to be the first person people go to ask, what do you think of this game? No, I mean, of course, if you're anything like me, you're probably going to go to YouTubers like Austin John Plays, Beat 'em Up Gaming's, HMK, The Completionist. So why would I make a review? Well, there are a couple of reasons. One is that video I made a little while back giving my defense of why I think these games are going to be great. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Of course, I had not played the games yet. That was just my prediction. So naturally, I needed to follow up after playing the game and be like, okay, does that still hold true? The other reason is kind of weird, but I wondered if it might be good to have an outside perspective on these games. Like I mentioned in my last video about Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I never played a main series Pokemon game. I had Pokemon Yellow, but I was like 4, and all I did was walk around with Pikachu. I didn't know what was going on. So, in other words, I didn't really play it. I played spin-off games like Pokemon Snap, Hey You Pikachu, Pokemon Stadium, and Pokemon Go. I watched the anime. So this review is coming from the perspective of someone who is more or less an outsider to the main Pokemon franchise, but is somewhat aware of Pokemon. My main fascination with Pokemon was Pikachu. Just love Pikachu. So you know which one I have. And on that note, I really did not think I'd be able to do this for a while. I assumed that I wasn't going to be able to get the game until well after the new year. But I have some awesome friends, and one of them got me Let's Go Pikachu as an early Christmas gift. He gave it to me on Wednesday, and it is currently Saturday, and I have put in over 20 hours. So let me clarify real quick, I have not finished the game. I just got through Fuchsia City. So I'm not finished, but this is just my review of what I've taken in thus far, which is a pretty big chunk of the game. So I have my little handy dandy Zelda notebook. I don't remember where I got it or how I got it, but I took notes as I was playing of things I liked, things that bothered me, and some of the things that bothered me were like remedied later, so I'd cross them out. So I'm gonna go through the list, and for every negative, I'm gonna also give a positive. Before I begin, I just want to say now, I love this game. Please do not think I hate this game. Some of the things I have to say, I might get a little bit sassy and it might sound like I don't like the game. That's not true. I love the game, but no game is perfect. My first negative is the map, or lack thereof. There is one main map that you can go to. It's not easy to access. I mean, it's a little tedious to get to. That's nitpicking, but it's just of the overall world. There's no maps for like the caves or anything, and I was able to keep pretty good track of where I was. I never got like super lost, and it turned out to be pretty straightforward, but I do wonder if a map may have been a helpful option for a younger audience, possibly. However, even if you did get lost, here's a positive: the music's great. I love how they took the old music, they kept it as it was, but just made it, you know, a little bit more, not lively, but they gave actual instruments instead of gaming sounds, if that makes sense. I don't think I got tired of any of the music, even Lavender Town. Another small thing that really annoyed me was the repeating of instructions. Now, it didn't happen a lot. It was one specific scenario that I feel was not necessary, even if you have a little kid playing it, and that was when you switch from throwing a ball with your Joy-Con to handheld mode, which I would do a lot because I had trouble throwing it. I'll get to that in a second. Sometimes I'd be in the middle of catching a Pokemon, I'd be like, you know what, I'm just gonna switch to handheld real quick. I'd put it in handheld, take it out, and then a text box would show up and it would say, hey, you switched to handheld, would you like a tutorial? For the 100th time, no. I have caught how many Pokemon in handheld? Stop asking. It just got annoying. Like, maybe ask once or twice, don't keep asking it. Like, this isn't even something that I would justify because, oh, you have little kids playing it. I don't think it's necessary even for little kids. Just being honest. A positive that has nothing to do with the negative I just mentioned is the story. I did not expect there to be like a decent story. Now, part of it was playing on my nostalgia, I think, you know, having Jesse James and Meowth for one thing, but I don't know, I loved it. And of course, Lavender Town. Lavender Town. That creeped the heck out of me. That was dark. That was dark for a kid's game. Just gonna point that out there. But I loved it. I loved it. Very simple, not much to it, the story overall, but I liked it. Speaking of throwing Pokeballs like I did with the last negative, there's a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to throwing the Pokeball. Now this is something I'm sure many people have already covered, but I had trouble with it. I mean, sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. You have to be very diligent about, okay, put your Joy-Con in the position you want to start in, press A, and then go for it. But sometimes I would just give up and just go to handheld. I do not have the Pokeball, so I have not tried it with that. That might be different. I don't know. And I'm not someone that's like very much for or very much against motion controls. I'm indifferent to motion controls. In fact, surprisingly, even though I am primarily left-handed, I tend to always use I use the right Joy-Con. Despite being primarily left-handed, I use the right Joy-Con. Yet I have so much trouble playing Skyward Sword because I can't do it right-handed, and it looks weird left-handed. I don't make any sense, okay? I am a living contradiction. But on the note of motion controls, this isn't really a motion control thing, just something that I really loved. Petting my Pikachu and like rubbing its face and its head and its tail. Oh my gosh, she's so cute because I do have a female one. I actually restarted it 2 times so I could get female Pikachu, which is awesome. Oh, I love that. It's the little things and I love the interaction. I mean, my dream is to have my own Pikachu, even though that's not realistic, but I watched the anime and I always wanted Pikachu. Thank you, Game Freak. Thank you. And speaking of switching from Joy-Con to handheld mode, this may have just been my experience, but I have a lot, and I mean a lot, of frame drops in handheld. And although I have this listed as a negative, I will say right now I am 100% aware that it might just be me, like my Wi-Fi or something. It could totally just be me. That said, if you've played Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, let me know in the comments if you've experienced the same issue. I certainly hope you haven't, because then I can just be like, oh, that's not a big deal, it's just something that's happening with me, whatever. And the frame drops aren't horrible, but they're very noticeable. But again, it might just be mine. That said, the graphics are beautiful. I love them. All the Pokemon are so detailed, I love it. I've been saying that phrase a lot and you're probably going to hear it a lot more. I just love it, I love it, I love it, and I love it. Tell me if this seems logical to you. You're fighting a battle, and you lose. You're in Celadon City. But for some reason, you are taken to the Poke Center in Lavender Town, because that was the last Poke Center you were at. But you were in Celadon City when you lost the battle. Does this sound logical to you? This just doesn't seem logical to me. You would think that you would be sent, if you lose a battle, to the Pokemon Center in the city that you were in, or just whichever one is the closest, not the last one you were at. That doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? That's annoying. But it's not too bad because, you know, even if it is a little bit of a long trek, you have items to keep you from running into a bunch of Pokemon if you want to avoid that. And you can just ride your Pokemon if this is before you have the balloon secret flying technique. That's a lot of fun. I like riding my Pokemon. This is a small negative, but why do we have to keep cutting down the bushes every time we encounter them? Why can't you just cut it down once and it stays cut down? I have yet to see a game-related need to have the bushes come back up. It only seems to serve the purpose of adding 30 extra seconds so you have even longer gameplay. I'm spending enough time as it is catching and training Pokemon. Do you really need to add all of these 30-second things of cutting down bushes? Just keep them down, okay? I mean, I don't know, that's a little thing, but it was just kind of annoying. But something I really, really loved was the secret flying technique. You're on that like balloon bicycle thing. That is so cute and I love it, and thank you for that. Made life so much easier. As much as I love riding the Pokemon, I was very grateful to find them, which I believe was Celadon City. Yeah, it's that center one where you find the Team Rocket hub. I'm sorry, I'm still new. Okay, as a newbie to main series Pokemon games, I do not know a lot about the types and what's strong and weak against what and the moves and what's better. I'm learning. There's a lot of learning and I enjoy it. Maybe you guys would consider this cheating. I don't, but I did print out a list of types, what they are immune against, what they are strong against, what they are weak against, yada yada yada. I didn't make a list of all the Pokemon and their strengths and weaknesses, just the types. And I get it, even if you have a type advantage, you need to have trained your Pokemon. They need to have a higher level, a good CP, good defense, good HP, all that stuff. I get it. And I'm learning. However, there were several, and I do mean several battles, where I had the type advantage, I was a higher level, I had higher CP, higher HP, I had higher everything, okay? There was no way I should have lost. And yet, my opposing Pokemon would knock me out in one hit. Now I tried to tell myself, you know, there's probably something you don't understand. Maybe this Pokemon has the ability to learn a kind of move that my Pokemon was weak against. But I looked them up and that wasn't true. So, 7 times out of 10, it does follow the list pretty well that I've printed out and I'm trying to learn from. But 3 times out of 10, so you know, 30% of the time, for no good reason, I would lose. Or my Pokemon would faint with one hit, even though it had every advantage. That makes learning this very difficult. That said, I never lost a battle until Celadon City. And I never skipped a battle either. I always battled every trainer. I made sure I was prepared because I wanted to learn more and understand the Pokemon better and help build them up and train them. So I never skipped a battle. And I didn't lose one until Celadon City. I think that's pretty good, but once I hit Celadon, all of a sudden this crap started happening. And I thought it was because maybe I'm a lower level, but even once I got to a higher level, I don't know, I put this as a negative, but kind of like with one of the other negatives I mentioned, this might just be me. You know, this might just be something that I'm still learning, I'm still a newbie, but right now it's just really frustrating at times. Speaking of battles, this is one I just remembered and forgot to write down, apparently. Why can't you opt out of a battle if you know you are gonna lose? Rather than wasting your time having to go through all the scenes of watching your Pokemon lose, why can't you just say, I surrender? Is there a button for that and I just missed it? Please tell me below if I missed it. I would really appreciate that. But if that doesn't exist, can we make it exist? Now, if you are a longtime Pokemon fan and you happen to know that there is a specific gameplay reason why you're not allowed to back out of battles, you're not allowed to surrender, and just go ahead and give up the money and run, let me know, because again, I'm a newbie to this. Like, seriously, I'd appreciate it if you kindly let me know if there is a good reason for not allowing trainers to surrender. Speaking of battles, there are a lot of them, and that's a very good thing. I mean, maybe that's obvious due to the nature of the game, but as a newcomer, I just really like that. Lots of opportunities, and you can avoid them. Some of them, they like turn at certain times and you can get around them, which is nice if you want to. I usually try not to avoid them, me personally. And my last negative, this is also a small thing that it might be something that could be chucked up to, well, little kids might need or want this. There's a lot of pauses and extra dialogue, like especially during battles, you know, It's like no matter how quickly I hit A, it's not skipping to the next round of text. I don't need you to tell me that it was super effective, or if you do have to tell me, let me skip through it really fast if I want to. I get that it all plays into the, I don't know, maybe cinematic feel of the battle, and that's fine, but I don't know, sometimes I just really wanted to get through it. But that's a really small thing. My last positive is a big positive, and that is the accessibility. While yes, my list of negatives had things like the learning curve for throwing the ball, understanding strengths and weaknesses and types despite there being a school in the game, but in the age of Google, why would you do that? But even with those negatives, the game is still overall very, very accessible, and it's very easy to learn. Now, yes, I am familiar with video games as a whole. That said, I'm not ultra familiar with Pokemon, am I? So I was a newcomer to that at least, and I was able to jump right in. So overall, I mean, 10 out of 10 would recommend this game. I love this game despite the negatives I got all sassy about. If you have Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, tell me what you think of them in the comments below. If you don't have those games, let me know if you would like to get them. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up. Subscribe, I post videos every Wednesday starting with the new year, so yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching.